Okay, it's yeah, wait. Yeah, it's not that far. Okay, it's 4 o'clock, November 8th, city council meeting is open. Please stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I think we need an abbreviated meeting today because it's cold. Here. Thank you. So first on the agenda is October 11th council minute meetings, and I did type this stuff up and I made an error, so it is October 11th, not October 26th meeting. So I tried to proofread these. If there's any changes, let me know. I'm still figuring out the technology, so I did try to figure them out, didn't work. So if you guys see any corrections or additions to the minutes? And if not, we have a motion to approve that.
I make a motion to accept the October 11th, 2022 minutes.
Do I have a second?
Also.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. And then this is not on the agenda. We also had minutes for the public hearing we had October 21st. There was a brief hearing that opened at 9:30 and closed at 9:33 a.m. This is just a formality to complete the design phase of the water grant. So are there any corrections on it?
Make a motion to accept the October 21st, 2022 public hearing meeting minutes.
Second,
All second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Good. Keeping out the sun.
Green dots, so
Oh, well, it's like, well, you know, I kind of moved the chairs around a little.
Okay, start off with spaghetti feed. Spaghetti feed went real well, made in the neighborhood, I don't know exact figures, $1,350. Stays real close to what we made last year. Special thanks to Carol's Mad Dog for the spaghetti sauce, Sumter Nugget for the bread, salad, and dessert. Leanne Wolf for putting out the flyers and running the entry donation table up top and taking care of the silent auction and making the announcements during spaghetti feed. And I also want to thank all the Sumter Valley community volunteers that helped out on it. And I want to thank the people that came to the spaghetti feed. Our big truck 3331 is off getting its pump certification done. It's been out of service since November 1st. It's over in Richland. Hopefully it'll make it home soon since it is our 4-wheel drive and our snow truck. Since we got early snow. Training's going really well. Last training session, we basically got our turnouts, made sure we were all set for cold weather. If we have to respond at 0 outside or something, that we have everything you need. Special thanks to John and Jim and all the fire department personnel for all they do. And today we backed up Powder River. They had their QRU off in town getting snow tires put on. And I think that's all I got.
Okay. Any questions for Kurt?
Thanks for the burn pile and cleaning the flies and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and the burn pile, it burned up.
Okay.
It went real well.
Okay. Thank you, Kurt. Okay, new business, Rob, Desmond McGovern.
Okay. Okay, so let's start with the November cash statement. We've got $79,741 in the bank, in our checking account. You can see our prior month collections were $29,000. And then, there are a couple of large checks this month. We've got an insurance payment to CIS. We bought some sewer equipment from Core, Maine, East Oregon Rental, and also RD Mac down below. Both had street grant implications there. So that's between $258,000. No other large items there. If you look at the back of the page, you can see what our total cash position is. We've got, in addition to that 79,000, we've got another 204 in OTIP right now. But you can see that's a pretty significant change from prior month. A lot of that's grant expenses flowing through. We received the cash for it and paid it last month. So we go ahead and flip over to the budget to actual. This is through 10/31. Shows cumulative activity since July 1st of the year. So we're not quite halfway through the year. In fact, we're really closer to a third of the year. General funds run a little high on expenses, but we do have some front loaded expenses in there like insurance and things like that. So I'm not entirely sure if it's cause for concern at this point. We'll see if we can reduce expenses here for a little bit. Not much change. There's a little bit more activity in the fire department, but not much. They still at 91%. Parks pretty low key. Flea market obviously hasn't changed too much. And then road fund, we've got a large, we're only 36% left in materials and services, which is obviously behind pace. However, about 8,000 of that was the street report. We charge part of it to flea market and part of it to street, and so that's a one-time expense. That probably catch up by the end of the year. Scroll down the water fund here. Water fund looks good for the most part. Again, some one-time early in the year payments. And sewer fund, we don't have a lot left. We may have to do some budget amendments there. What's happening is with personnel services, we haven't paid anybody more. It's just we allocate time in the budget based on expectation, and we budget and we actually expense time based on where they use it, where it's coded by the guys. So we just have had a higher allocation charge to sewer than we expected. So, and you can see water's behind the pace there. So that's about flip flop where those two numbers went. Also, in materials and services, we have things to seasonal that we paid early in the year, maybe one-time items. So again, I think we might catch up, but it is pretty close there. So we monitor the sewer fund here as we go forward. Any questions?
Yeah, on these, RD Mac.
Yeah.
And the, Eastern Oregon Rental, which streets were those on?
I have to, what streets were those on?
The grant.
First, the Grant Street, First Street, Clifford, Climax, Granite, Bonanza. And those broken out any place? Yeah, you've got all
On the
the invoices.
invoices,
You-
on the invoices, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
We had to break a lot of that out for the grant people. Any other questions for Rob? Do you have a motion to, pay the bills represented?
I'll make a motion to pay the bills as presented.
Do I have a second?
All second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
All opposed?
I do have a question. Do we have enough money to, like, if we needed, let's say, $5,000 expenditure, do we have enough money to cover something like that?
We have enough cash. Yeah, I mean, you can see the budget line items, but we always have the ability to, should council decide to amend the budget, so.
Right, but from a practical cash flow standpoint, are you comfortable?
Yeah, $5,000 would be fine. It's when we start talking about buying $80,000 pieces of iron that I get concerned.
There.
Okay, we had a couple things on planning. So the Barnes lot line, as I understand it, is she has several lots, right, Martha? And
Yes.
this Pamela Barnes went to the county and they said she did not have to do a lot line adjustment. However, the lender required a lot line adjustment. That's why she has done the paperwork. County said they were good with what she was doing. So she filled this all out and she told her we review it to let her know because it's just the lender who's requiring it.
Yeah, she's peeling off lot 1 and 2 from the sale of the other lot.
So what street is that?
Clifford in,
Is that on Ibex?
Yeah.
Ibex, Clifford, and the starts in Austin.
Austin, it goes
Right.
Austin, I go to Clifford.
It's right behind,
Either.
yeah.
So does anybody have any issues with it?
No,
So is there a motion to go ahead and approve this, move forward on it?
I make a motion to approve the Barnes lot line adjustment.
The second,
All second.
all in favor,
Uh,
all opposed?
And I'll get this to Dawn.
Who's the original?
Yes, it is.
And the other one is just a review. I just gave you guys the cover sheets. Back, a while back, we approved for Jeff Long on February 7th, we approved a single family dwelling for him. All the setbacks and everything were correct. And then in June, he came and wanted to put a shed. And we checked that and approved that. So in the meantime, it's come up that he now wants to live in his shed, that what was to be the shed, because he does not have a dwelling now. And I think what it came from Faber County was if we wanted to just take that approval for him to live in a shed and instead of the home. That's what John said, right?
Yeah. It's okay with them if we wanted to do it, but I was wondering where the sewer and water went to.
Yeah.
He did hook up the sewer and water, didn't he? Sure, I think he did.
He had to run to the property.
Run it to the property, so he's gonna run it.
He's got a spigot that he hooked up, so he has water.
So when he does build his house, and because this is gonna be a house, does he have to decommission the kitchen and then Is he gonna have sewer and water to the shed and then sewer and water to the house?
Yeah, 'cause you can't have two homes. So, yeah, because it shows here that, it shows on the original for the house, it showed where the 71.
He's got three,
Here. You might well look at this.
Yeah. I don't know what it is.
And, well, on the house diagram, yeah, this is the better one, looks like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, because, he can have water and sewer to the shed after he builds the house. He just can't have a kitchen in it. Because it's not the dwelling. If that's what he decides to do, and if he put, because we didn't approve it for two dwellings. We only approved it for one.
One volume and one shed.
Now, it shows here that his septic tank system he showed was coming out for Daisy. However, his shed's more on the other end of Battery, so it's gonna run the whole line that way.
I'm not sure where the sewer line came in. The water line's clear up here.
Oh, it is right there, okay.
The sewer line should be down here because they put the tank in. And if I'm not mistaken, he did run it to here,
Mhm.
because he had Hughes, put it in, and that's as far as he went,
Okay, to where his house. was
where
going.
the house was proposed.
So, but he would have to extend that. I guess the first question is, are we going to let him move that approval to his shed and let they just give me, or they can tell, you know?
Yeah, they just, Don's working with him now on.
But we're gonna have to let you know that it, you know, when he built his house, you know, this is all gonna have to change.
You're gonna put stipulations on the approval?
Well, we almost have to, because if he has the shed, he builds his house, he can't, then he has two living quarters.
That's why he has to decommission the
Right.
bathroom, not the one.
That's what I mean, so we need to put some kind of stipulation on that thing.
That would be the only stipulation that I can see, because actually, if his shed that he had built is a 10 by 20, 16 feet tall for the shed, and the house is 15 foot by 24 foot by 19 feet tall. So the shed is actually smaller than the house, so he could always reverse it back to a shed. And just, I
Right,
think the stipulation would have to be,
yeah,
he has to remove the kitchen.
yeah, it becomes a shed again, and the house becomes a primary residence.
Right. Then the shed needs to be turned back into a shed.
Why are we doing this?
Because Baker County asked that, because he has two city approvals, and they wanted to know if they can just go ahead and move forward with him on working on the shed as his living quarters at this time. And she, you know, asked to go to council and get the approval to do it. So that's what we're doing.
Because the shed's gonna have to meet the, building code as far as
I
habitability.
understand all that. My concern is the way people have been playing fast and loose with our zoning ordinances than we used to.
Mhm.
Where we do these things and then nothing happens and we have another violation and we don't want to offend anybody. And, it's gotta stop someplace.
Well, that's what I mean, so we need to put some kind of stipulation on him. if we're
Why not
gonna-
just say you can't do it? Or he can get a conditional use, can't he, to put an RV on there for the winter, as his home? It's a conditional use, it goes away automatically. I mean, is that thing insulated? Is it wired?
Well, that's what the county is asking, because if we say he can live in there, then he has to bring that up to their code.
Which that's out of our hands.
Don's email said she had no problems with it and she didn't know if it had to come back to council or not because
You
he's
can't
getting
approve for a house.
a permit for it.
Right, but she assumes people do what they say they will,
Yeah.
and they don't
Well, that's
frequently.
true, but as soon as he starts building the house, then he's gonna have to change his plan.
do they change their plan?
Well, it's something we have to start, we need to have a system.
Well, that's why
where-
if we put it in stipulations that we approved it on the stipulations that when we build the house, the shed has to go back to the shed. It cannot be it cannot be a dwelling.
Well,
But there's no reason why you can't have a bathroom in the shop. No, there isn't. So that's why, you know, I don't care if he's got a fancy floor or marble cabinets or anything else. That's immaterial. As long as we don't have a kitchen in, because that's what we declare as living, is being able to have cooking facility.
That's
Yeah, I
something,
understand that.
is that something county monitors, or is that someone in monitor if he does it?
The county's gonna know, because the county's the one that's he's gotta have building permits, he's gotta cross all of his information with the county. It's gotta be insulated right, it's gotta be plumbed right, it's gotta be wired right, so it's gotta meet all the criteria, it's gotta be built right.
Well, that's, you know, I know,
It's gotta have the right snow load for the roof too.
I'm just referring to him decommissioning the kitchen when the other house is built. Who monitors that?
We can. Because, why can't we? Because as soon as he gets a final on the house, then he needs to take the kitchen out of the other one. Can't we do something with that? We should be able to if we put it in the paperwork. It says you gotta take out the kitchen. Because the only thing that's gotta come out of the kitchen is the stove.
I think you just ask them for trouble. Because it'll be wired for stove. It will have presumably, maybe some venting for that, or who knows what else. And so he takes it out, great, we're happy. And then he just brings another one in, slips it in there. Hey, this is what's caused a lot of our problems. Going back, way back, and we have more of them going on right now.
So can we go back to where if he does it and he doesn't decommission it, or he gets charged too, water and sewer? Because that's what we did with some other people here in town.
Yeah, but you can't do that if he's using both of them himself, if he's not renting it out as a separate household. That's the way that reads. So, no, you can't do that just because there's two bathrooms.
Well, it would be two living capacity.
Well, there may be, but what, if, you know, it's just a separate bedroom for when he has guests. You don't know that. And see, we are not good at monitoring that. Just look at some of the things that have happened. That where we haven't monitored it, and then people go doing things. And then we do decide to do something, then they start screaming like a stuck hog.
Well, and time passes and council changes and then, you know, it just gets lost in the paperwork, so then that's residential zone, so then it'll wind up, we don't know what it'll wind up being, it could be for family, it could be in another Airbnb. So I would,
The only other thing that I would do then is I would say that he has the house being built in a different place and he doesn't have a shed.
so he's gonna turn, then he needs to come back to council. If he's gonna turn this shed into a house, his living quarters, that's what he needs to come, and then come back to council if he's gonna build, and then he'll have, the other house will have to do the shed.
Because I'm not I fully don't understand why he did what he did, other than I think he's short of cash and now he can't build this house he wants because not only is he short on money, but also because of the economy. But I would be more inclined to believe that he's building the house on a smaller scale. And then we'll just take the shed part out of it. And then let him come back to council and tell us what he wants to do with that lower end.
Well, we've approved two separate applications.
Yeah, we
so
approved the house and we approved the shed.
I don't mind approving the shed for him to turn that into a house, but I wanna revoke this one, his original house, until that's done.
And then I think that would work. Because at least you're not giving him the blessing to do both. You're giving him the blessing to build a house, and that's what he did, he built a small one. Because he's only going 10 foot by 20 by 16.
So then for right now, what he needs
So
to
this
do is
don't-
come back to council with only one application, and we'll get rid of these two, and he can explain.
And then I've also noticed here on
the two applications on the one that he's building a house is, it says right here zoning property is an R. This one over here says zoning property is an RF, so which is,
Depends on where the line runs, I'll have to look on the map.
it's with that property?
We do have properties that are split on the R and RL
Oh,
tax line.
okay.
So what you're suggesting, Marcia, is to tell him to reapply for both, for the one. Come
Yeah,
back and
reapply for this one, or either that or we revoke the house. But it's a total misrepresentation, or it's something that came up after he's been approved for these two individual zonings, but he needs to come back again.
So
with the
basically, you
one.
have to come back with this one here for the shed and take the shed out and put house. However you want to
You
put
want,
it in.
but want him to bring back one new.
One new application, a current application for what he's doing right now. Obviously, the shed is now turned into a house.
So we will get a hold of him and tell him he needs to start over.
I'll notify Dawn because she's waiting for an answer.
Okay. And then the other thing we had was, Jenny Long. Did we figure anything out, or do we need to table that until the next one?
I need to talk to her. I was hoping she'd be here tonight. I guess I have a hard time with their addresses. The house is 410. She wants, the lot 200 to have an address. And she would like to have it at 420, but I don't understand. It's just not following because, the house in back of her, Jan Smith, her address is, Sawmill Gulch. Jenny's address is Powder River. So I guess I don't understand how, you can go past her house with Powder River and hit the house in the back and then have an address at Sawmill Gulch.
So we're gonna table that one until the next meeting.
So I was,
Okay,
I don't understand the two addresses.
okay, so we'll table that. So moving on old business, I have, just because it's cold in here. I tabled, I'm gonna put on November 23rd, the RV park. I'll put yours on for the next meeting, the RV park. And Catherine, you need to fill out your paperwork
She did.
for the next one.
She does.
So it's just. Cool. So do we, counselor, comments? Charlie?
Yeah.
Or, okay, go ahead, Martin, sure.
Well, we've been without heat now for what, 3 weeks?
Do we? 3?
Three.
No.
2 to 3. Who's counting? And we're gonna get another tank apparently,
Tomorrow.
once. What?
Tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
Have we looked at all about getting a gas propane furnace in here?
Yeah.
At the cost?
Yeah.
How much is?
I'll have to go dig it out. Baker Heating was up here, because to do propane, they have to do a new heater system. So we have actually applied for a grant on that. But I can get you the numbers. I will find that paperwork. It was expensive.
And that was Valley Metal? or Baker?
Baker Heating and Cooling. They wrote up a bid for putting propane in. So I will get that price to you. Because I don't have to go to the cabinet and find it. But yes, the tank, the guy has the tank ready and we're picking it up tomorrow, so we can actually function in here. Okay. Anything else, Martin?
No, that's all I have.
Marcia?
I had some people in town come and ask about, one of those portable sheds that was moved on a piece of property. They did not come in and get a building permit. So I sent a letter and, the building permit application to them and requested they fill it out. Because I believe the shed's very close to the property line with no setbacks, and that's been 2.5, 3 weeks and have not heard. So I don't know what council wants to follow up on that.
Well, the shed needs an LUC in any event, because it's a structure. We require those for structures. I remember when Vern put his in, that was the very question we had, because it just sat there on the ground. And he had to get an LUC at the minimum. Building permit, I can't remember, did you?
Yes,
Mhm.
building because of the size.
Okay.
And then across the alley, Cindy and Rich, theirs is smaller, didn't need the building permit part, but they still had to do the land use permit, because it's,
Well, yeah, and it's in a residential zone, I believe, on the map, but any one of those prefab buildings, they have to come in just because of the 40% rule. They have to come in and check, so,
Yeah.
I have
And
not
setback.
heard.
So-
Yeah, and it's not on proper setbacks, I know that. Just by looking at it, but,
So we need to see what we have for, you know, how we
So-
can deal with that. I don't know that we,
Do we talk to Dawn? Or do you talk to Paige?
I
To
don't,
find out where we stand legally.
I don't, by looking at it, couldn't tell you if it's under 200 square feet, so we'll go to Dawn, but it would definitely have to
It's
come
in an
out.
R zone. And I don't know if it meets the 60/40. There was a shed on there that she had tore down, but this doesn't fit in that same footprint because she moved it into a different place. If she would have tore the other shed down and put this one in this other place, then that, we wouldn't be, she still needs to come to council.
Well, I don't think that was a shed, more or less, it was PVC pipe in the tarp, wasn't it?
I have no
Yeah, I
idea.
don't think it
I thought
was
it
a
was-
structure.
I thought it was-
well, we have to put right on the property line too, it's not,
Yeah,
has no setback. So we're gonna have, we're gonna have to see what we can do as far as asking her to bring stuff in. I'll check with Paige and check with Dawn to see what. Hey, Charlie?
Yeah.
You got anything?
No.
Okay, I don't have any words. Public comment, if you're short.
3 minutes.
I do have something to say that because we're on TV, but the thing is, people need to realize that when they put this dust abatement down, they're doing it at their own risk of whether the city is going to maintain the street, dig the street up. Don't be going to our guys, because we've had an incident where some individual went and chewed out Tim, chased him down, because he bladed the snow. And this here was just a little bit where he scuffed a little bit on the side with the wing and was chewing Tim out for this, because we're allowing you to put the dust abatement down to approve yourself, but don't come to the city and say that you put $20,000 worth of dust abatement down and don't want us to touch the road because you don't own it. The city still owns the road, and they have the right to maintain the road with whatever that means. Okay, I'm done.
Any short public comment? Do you have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, everyone. Wait a
Okay, cameras off?
No.
Not yet. I'm really for it.
Before Paige could get the contract.
You guys aren't gonna like it. I know.
Didn't talk.
Oh, yeah, I didn't have to be in the office when it happened, so I didn't know.